I never imagined that at 62 years old, I would be driving at 11 o'clock at night through unfamiliar streets, my hands trembling on the steering wheel and my heart pounding like it wanted to escape my chest. My name is Grace, and until 3 hours ago, I thought I knew everything about my husband of 40 years. It all started when I drove past the corporate tower where Nathan worked for 25 years. The lights were off, the parking garage empty, and a notice on the front door announced that the offices were closed for renovation starting at 6 that evening. My first instinct was that I had the wrong building. But no, there was the company's sleek logo mocking me from the dark facade. I dialed his number with fingers that had begun to shake. "How's the project coming, honey?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual, normal, like the devoted wife I'd been for 4 decades. His answer was immediate and practiced. "Super busy here, Grace. Can't talk right now. The Tokyo project has us all pushing hard. Don't wait up for me, dear." And then I heard it. Soft voices in the background, muffled laughter, sounds that didn't belong in an empty office building. My stomach lurched, but my mind, the part that had been dormant for years, woke up with terrifying clarity. The family GPS app, which I had insisted we install after Nathan had a minor fender bender last year, now became my guide to the truth. The blue dot representing his silver Lexus was blinking in an affluent residential neighborhood about 40 minutes from our home, in a section of the city we had never visited together. Every mile I drove felt like I was peeling layers off my own skin, revealing something raw and painful underneath. The neighborhood was beautiful, too beautiful. Colonial-style homes with perfectly manicured lawns, antique street lights bathing the sidewalks in golden glow. The kind of place where happy families lived their perfect lives. Nathan's Lexus was parked in front of a deep blue 2-story house with white shutters and a wraparound porch. There was a light on the second floor, shadows moving behind curtains that looked straight out of a home decorator's magazine. I sat in my car, parked 3 houses down, watching, trying to process the scene before me. This wasn't a hotel or an anonymous apartment for affairs. It was a home, complete with a mailbox painted with daisies and a welcome mat that read, "The Hartley Family." Then I saw her, a woman, not young as I had feared, but in her mid-40s, peeking out the second-floor window. Her auburn hair was pulled up in a messy bun, and she wore a blue silk robe that I recognized with a sharp stab of pain. It was identical to the one Nathan had given me for our last anniversary. Only mine was burgundy. The woman looked down the street with an expression of contentment that hurt more than any gesture of passion could have. My phone vibrated. A text from Nathan. "Leaving the office now, love. Don't wait up. Grab dinner without me." The lie was so blatant it was almost funny. Almost. I checked my watch. 11:43. How many nights had I eaten alone, slept alone, lived alone while he built this parallel life? A boy appeared at the window next to the woman, about 10 years old, with dark wavy hair just like Nathan's, with the same way of tilting his head when something intrigued him. The woman embraced him, and they both disappeared from view, likely heading to bed, continuing their nightly routine in their perfect home with my husband. I woke up in my car at 5:47 in the morning with a stiff neck and swollen eyes. The blue house was still there, proof it hadn't been a nightmare. Nathan's Lexus was gone. I drove home on autopilot, arriving just as Nathan was walking through the front door, briefcase in one hand and a box of pastries in the other. "Morning, love," he said, kissing me on the cheek with his usual easy familiarity. "I brought your favorites, the cream-filled ones. I know I shouldn't have worked all night, but you know how these international projects are." His performance was impeccable. If I hadn't seen what I saw, I would have believed every word. I spent the next 3 days perfecting my own performance, smiling at the right moments, responding to his lies with expected credulity. Nathan suspected nothing. After all, I had been predictable for 40 years. Grace, the devoted wife. Grace, the perfect mother. Grace, the fool. While Nathan showered one morning, I checked his briefcase. I found the usual work documents that looked genuine, but there was something new too, a second phone, hidden in a compartment I didn't know existed. The screen showed several missed calls from home and a text. "Daddy, don't forget my soccer game Saturday. Mommy says you promised to come. Love you, Tyler." Another woman called Mommy by another son of Nathan's. The picture suddenly widened and I started seeing the full scope. The frequent business trips, always 3 or 4 days. The weekends he had to work. The calls he'd answer in the yard, far from my ears. I remembered specific moments now with painful clarity, like that time 15 years ago when I found a jewelry receipt in his pocket. "It's for my boss's secretary's retirement gift," he'd said. "You know how he is. He always sends me to do his personal shopping." And I had believed him. My daughter Rebecca had once mentioned seeing her father at the mall with a woman and a young child when she was 15. "Must be a colleague's family," I'd replied, dismissing it. "Dad's always helping people." The boy in the window would be about 10 years old now. The math was cruel in its precision. That afternoon, I called my friend Linda, a paralegal at a law firm downtown. "I need the name of a good private investigator," I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. "Grace, is everything okay?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. "I'm not sure," I admitted, "but I need to find out." She gave me a name, Thomas Sterling, a former FBI agent who now worked private cases. "He's discreet," she said, "and thorough. Whatever you need to know, he'll find it." Sterling came to my house a week later while Nathan was on one of his business trips. That is, playing Happy Family in the Blue House. He laid a thick folder on my dining room table, the same table where we had celebrated 40 Christmases, 40 birthdays, a lifetime of lies. "Mrs. Monroe," he said, his voice professionally compassionate, "what I'm about to show you is difficult to digest. Are you sure you want to continue?" I nodded, my hands trembling as I opened the folder. The first page was a marriage certificate. Marcus Hartley had married Jennifer Hartley 12 years ago. Marriage, not an affair, not a mistress, but another wife. "But this is illegal," I stammered, my mind struggling to process. "Technically, yes," Sterling replied. "He used false documents, an alternate identity he has perfectly maintained for years. Your husband is no amateur at this." The following pages were worse. Photographs of Nathan and Jennifer's wedding on a beach. Birth certificates for Tyler Hartley, born 11 years ago, 3 months after Nathan had an emergency medical conference. Emma Hartley, a baby, born 7 months ago when Nathan was on a corporate leadership retreat. "There's more," Sterling said, moving to another section. "Your husband owns properties under his alternate identity. The house where the other family lives, a condo in Florida, a cabin in the mountains, all paid for in cash. My inheritance, my mother's inheritance, which she had left me 15 years ago. Now I knew where that money had truly gone. He had funded his other life with my dead mother's money." "The other woman, Jennifer, doesn't know about you," Sterling said, clearly uncomfortable. "To her, her husband is a widower. The story he told her is that his first wife, Grace, died in a car accident 15 years ago. I was dead. In Nathan's narrative for his other family, I was dead. He had metaphorically killed me so he could have another life. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to be a victim. I wasn't going to disappear quietly with a silent divorce. I was going to systematically destroy the house of cards he had built. I called my son Daniel, who was a corporate attorney. "Son, I need your professional help with something delicate." Daniel arrived within an hour. I showed him everything. I watched his face transform from confusion to disbelief, then to cold rage. "I'm going to destroy him," he finally said. "Bigamy is a felony. Fraud, tax evasion, document forgery." "I don't want him in jail," I interrupted. "I want something worse. I want him to lose everything he values but have to live to see it." We spent the next weeks building our case. Daniel prepared legal documents to freeze assets. My daughter Rebecca, who worked in public relations, prepared media contacts. We hired a forensic accountant who traced every transaction, building a case that would make the IRS salivate. Nathan's sister, Patricia, became an unexpected ally. "I always knew something wasn't right," she admitted after I told her everything. "Mom always loved you more than him. She used to say you were too good for Nathan." Patricia gave me access to her mother's safe deposit box, where we found the real will, not the forged version Nathan had submitted. Everything was left in trust for the grandchildren with me as administrator. Another federal crime to add to the list. I returned home to play the devoted wife. Nathan suspected nothing. I cooked his favorite meals, waited up for him, initiated intimacy with an enthusiasm that delighted him. I was the grace of our honeymoon, but with a dark purpose he couldn't imagine. "You're radiant lately," he told me one morning, hugging me from behind while I made coffee. "What's changed?" "I decided to value what we have," I replied, my voice honey-sweet. "Life is short, don't you think?" Meanwhile, the pieces moved like clockwork. Daniel discovered Nathan's consulting firm, as Marcus Hartley had won government contracts using insider information. Corporate fraud on a grand scale. Rebecca planted seeds on social media, anonymous accounts asking questions about the mysterious Marcus Hartley and his resemblance to Nathan Monroe. Our 40th anniversary was approaching. Nathan had reserved the most exclusive restaurant in the city, inviting our closest friends and family. It would be public. It would be devastating. It would be perfect. The restaurant, the Golden Swan, shimmered in the city lights. Nathan had reserved the entire main hall. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light over pristine tablecloths. Each table adorned with white orchids and red roses, the colors of my wedding bouquet 40 years ago. I wore a blood-red dress, a daring design that hugged my figure. My hair was styled in an elegant updo, revealing diamond earrings my mother had left me. Every guest commented on how radiant I looked, never suspecting my glow was that of a woman about to exact justice. At 9:30, as desserts were served, Nathan stood tapping his glass. The room fell silent. "Dear friends, family," he began, his voice rich and deep. 40 years ago, I met a woman who would change my life. Grace became not only my wife but my best friend, my partner in every adventure. I watched as some women dabbed tears. The men nodded approvingly. It was a masterful performance. "That's why," Nathan pulled a velvet box from his pocket, "I want to renew my vows right here. Grace, will you do me the honor of continuing to be my wife for another 40 years? Applause erupted, cameras flashed. It was the perfect moment. I stood slowly, accepting his kiss before the ovation. "My turn," I announced, my voice clear as crystal. 40 years is a long time. Time enough to know every secret, every truth, every lie about a person. Nathan smiled, utterly oblivious. I pulled out my phone, already connected to the restaurant's audio system. A gift not just for my husband, but for all of you, because Ruby anniversaries require absolute transparency. I pressed play. Nathan's voice filled the room. "Jennifer, my love, I'm heading home now. Yeah, I know Tyler has his game tomorrow. Don't worry, I told Grace I have a conference all weekend. She never suspects. After so many years, she's blindly trusting." The silence was absolute. Nathan's champagne glass fell, shattering on the floor. The screen came to life with photographs. Nathan and Jennifer's beach wedding, birth certificates, Christmas photos from the last 10 years with his other family. 40 years, I said, walking slowly around Nathan, who remained frozen. 40 years living with a bigamist, a pathological liar, a criminal. Yes, dear friends, bigamy is a felony. "Grace, please," Nathan finally found his voice. "We can talk privately." Daniel stood, interposing himself between us. "Don't come near my mother. And before you consider running, the IRS already has copies of all your financial statements, including that Cayman account where you hid $5 million. Rebecca took the microphone. To our dear guests, we regret your witnessing this, but after 40 years of public deception, we felt the truth needed to be public. Patricia stood then, her voice trembling but firm. Nathan, I found Dad's real will. The one you forged is with the authorities. I pulled the divorce papers from my purse. You have two choices, Nathan. Sign these documents now, relinquishing all claims to our communal assets, or this goes to public trial and you end up in federal prison. With trembling hands, he took the pen I offered. As he signed, tears fell onto the documents, staining his surrender. The story exploded the next morning. Prominent businessman living double life screamed from every headline. By noon, Nathan's company had suspended him. The IRS arrived like locusts. Federal agents seized documents, computers, everything. 2 years have passed since that anniversary dinner. This morning, as I made coffee in my new condo overlooking the city skyline, I received a notification. Nathan had been released from minimum security prison after serving 18 months. I felt nothing. No fear, no anger, not even curiosity. The man who had been my husband was a stranger now, a character in someone else's story. My art exhibition opened last month, Portraits of an Invented Life. Each piece told part of the story. The reviews were extraordinary, but more importantly, every brushstroke had been therapy. At the opening, I met Robert, a widowed literature professor with kind eyes and genuine laughter. We had coffee, then dinner. No rush, no expectations. Daniel called yesterday. Dad tried to contact me, he said. I told him his family was us for 40 years. He chose another. Rebecca was less diplomatic. She simply blocked his number. Patricia visits sometimes. She tells me Nathan lives alone in a one-bedroom apartment, working as a bookkeeper for a small firm. Jennifer won't let him see the children until they're older. It's a gray existence, but honest for the first time. Yesterday, while packing for a trip to Paris, a dream I'd deferred for 40 years, I found our wedding photo. Nathan and I, young, radiant, ignorant, I didn't destroy it. I simply placed it in a box labeled fiction. Before leaving, I looked at myself in the mirror. The woman looking back had wrinkles that told stories, gray hair she didn't hide, eyes that had seen too much but still shone with hope. She was beautiful not despite her history, but because of it. "Hello, Grace," I said to my reflection. "It's good to finally meet you." My phone rang. It was Robert, asking if I was ready for our tango class. I'm learning tango now, and Italian, and sculpting. Every new experience an affirmation that life doesn't end with betrayal. Looking back, I realized the truth didn't destroy me. It liberated me. At 64 years old, I am finally free. And that freedom, earned through fire and pain, is the most precious gift I've ever given myself. The real Grace Monroe was worth waiting for.